Bustin' out! Bustin' out! Bustin' out! What's good, everybody? Welcome to another episode of my R&B reviews. Give me 1 second. Oh man, it's currently February 7th, and the album I'm about to review today is Rick James' second studio album, Bustin' Out of L7, released in 1979 on Gordy under Motown. Both Rick James and Art Stewart produced this whole album. And what you listen to right now is Bustin' Out on the Funk. Like this, oh my god, this album is just... before I get to this review, believe it or not, this is actually the very first vinyl album I actually purchased. Yeah, very first vinyl album I purchased and shit like that. And it's always been a very special album to me. This is possibly my favorite Rick James album, possibly. Yeah, so I reviewed Come Get It last Saturday, and I also reviewed Street Songs with Tribero and Mike. So if you guys don't know who Rick James is, go and check that out. Okay, so after the release of Come Get It, you know, he was getting like a lot of, oh Jesus Christ. Sorry about that. But yeah, other than that, he was, after the release of Come Get It, he didn't waste no time. You know, it got him like a lot of praise. And shit like that. So by late '78, he was working on this album, and his album didn't come out until early 1979. Yeah. Thing about this album, to me, it was like a lot more dirtier, but at the same time there was some experimental songs with this one. Yeah, so very dope album cover. To me, I've always thought this album cover kind of reminded me of Michael Jackson's Thriller video. I don't know, it's just like, nigga, it looks like he's breaking out of prison, of course. From what I looked up, the L7 basically means someone who's a square, basically, but I don't know. I've always said it might have another deeper meaning and shit like that. Yeah, so it just means someone who is a square, basically. So yeah, in case I'm wrong, in case you guys know what an L7 is, leave that on the comments and shit. But other than that, yeah, dope album cover. Of course, you got this picture of Rick James, you know, repping the Stone City Band, you know, repping that shit. And then you got the lyrics to his songs and shit like that. So yeah, very, very, very dope, very dope, very dope. And I know I did not mention this. I kicked myself because I didn't really mention this, but the Stone City Band really consists of, you know, Oscar Alston on bass, Levi Ruffin on synthesizer percussion, dope instrumentalist, Wally Ali guitar on Cop and Blow, Ernie Fields Jr. on sax, Michael Brecker on sax, Randy Brecker on trumpet, Fred Jackson Jr. on alto sax and alto flute. Yeah, Tina Marie does some background vocals, which I'm gonna talk about in a quick minute. Yeah. So he has like a lot of members and shit like that. Okay. So This album has about 7 songs. Let's get this started. Track number 1, Bustin' Out on Funk. That's like one of my favorite Rick James songs of all time. Just like a nice little song, basically. Basically a nice song. Love that bass and shit. Love that dirty funk. Love definitely that dirty funk and shit like that. Yeah, very dope song. All my Dougie Fresh fans, if you guys are a fan of Dougie Fresh, you guys should know about that song. He sampled that song for his I believe it was in his 1992 album. I forgot the name of it, but yeah. Also, I forgot to mention, I forgot to mention, after the release of Come Get It, he had problems with Motown, which he would have like a lot of problems with Motown, because the album went platinum, and like I mentioned before, he kind of saved Motown and shit. So he was promised a bonus if the album went platinum, and I believe the album went 3 times platinum, and they didn't give him a bonus right away. So yeah, and he recorded most of his album in New York City, basically. So yeah, I forgot to mention all that. Track number 2, High on Your Love Suite. One More Hit of Your Love. Yeah, that's like the longest song off this album. Very dope song. Love the strings and synthesizer on that song. Has a very theatrical appeal to it. Track number 3, The Love Interlude, which leads into track number 4, Spacey Love. Both Love Interlude and Spacey Love are probably the most lush songs off this album. To be keep it a buck, because for one, this is probably my favorite song off this album, Spacey Love, because he pays tribute to Patti LaBelle and to an extent the Bluebells and shit, you know, just admiring her beauty and shit, you know. Hold on, I'm gonna pull up some lyrics. He says some shit like, I'm gonna read you some of the first verse though. I can tell you by the way you look, dear lady, and your freaky style upsets me. It drives me wild, baby. I know you know how to make me feel at ease. Won't you please tell me something good, tell me something bad. Make me feel happy, baby, make me feel sad. Do with me, do what you please. I beg you on my knees. And then, in the second verse, he makes it known that he's talking about Patti LaBelle. He makes it known that he's talking about Patti LaBelle when he says, "Oh LaBelle, you don't ring alone, my lady. You had 2 angels by your side, and they helped you fly. I hope and pray that one day you'll hear and take me to your stratosphere. Yeah, sing to me again. Tell me about those rainbows far away. Say to me in French, voulez-vous coucher avec moi?" I like how he plays on to the songs, you know, with the Lady Marmalade song off the Nightburst album, and of course the song Over the Rainbow. I kind of thought that was very clever, and you know, paying comments to like LaBelle with Cindy Bird's song and Nona Hendrix and shit. Very dope song. Like lyrically, I've never heard a Rick James song that lyrical, basically. Like, and it was just such like a very cool song, basically. I love how the instruments in the song was, how it had that spacey appeal to it. So yeah, very dope song, Spacey Love. Next song is Cop and Blow, which was a funky tune, very funky tune and shit. Yeah, it was an okay song. Then track number 2 is the Jefferson Ball, which it's kind of like another experimental song where it's just another experimental song. Like if you hear this song, it will make you feel like you were like in a ball, basically, a very funked out ball or some shit. And the last song off this album, Fool on the Street, oh my god, that's another song I love. Like, I'm just a fool, baby. Like, that has a very feel good. It's a very feel good kind of song. Yeah. And that's all the time I have for this album. I know it's a short album, but yeah. Overall, this is a very dope album. Love this album, you know. I hate when people always say, oh, Rick James is always known to make the funk songs. He always makes the same album over and over again. While I admit this album does have its similarities to Come Get It, it's still some more to offer, you know. Basically more to offer. I felt like he was getting more a little versatile with his topics, with this album. Yeah, man. This album, believe it or not, is actually out of print. But the thing about this album was, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think this album was ever reissued on CD. Let me double check. While I'm doing that, I was just gonna say, it's crazy because not a lot of Rick James heads really talk about this album and shit like that. Because when it comes to fans of Rick James, a lot of people want to talk about street songs to an extent, Come Get It, but they don't really talk in depth about his discography, you know. Okay, this album was actually re-released on CD in 1994, but yeah, it's out of print. It's definitely out of print because the last remaster was 2003. It was 2003, but in they actually re-released this album in Germany on CD, which is crazy. But Motown definitely needs to do better when it comes to like their re-release and remastering packaging. But that's Rick James, Bust Out this L7. Alright, and around the time he was finishing this album, the label wanted, Barry Gordy wanted Rick James to produce Diana Ross's album and stuff like that. So, of course, that was gonna be a huge look. But he backed down because it was a loophole. He was basically gonna produce like at least 3 or 4 cuts, so he backed down from that. And by the time he was walking down the hallway, he had heard this voice, and this voice came from Tina Marie and shit. So, of course, Rick James and Tina Marie, they became close, and he took her under her wing. And so, I'm definitely going to talk about Tina Marie. I'm definitely going to talk about Tina Marie stuff and stuff like that. So I'm talking about her first 2 albums, Wild and Peaceful Wild and Lady T, before I jump into Fire It Up and Gone with Love. Oh, and before I get into my bonus part, in case you guys are fans of Rick James, if you find this book, must have in your collection. This is like his first autobiography, because a lot of people will be confused because he had actually dropped 2 autobiographies. A lot of people are kind of more familiar with the Glow one that came out in, I believe, 2007. Yeah, this came out in 2007 as well. Wait, that autobiography cannot have came out in 2007. Alright, it cannot come out in 2007. And by the way, this is Spacey Love that's playing in the background right now. Yeah, the Glow one came out in 2015. They re-released it. They kind of like re-released it and shit like that. But this, if you guys really want the full-on experience, this is the one I recommend. I definitely recommend you getting. It's actually out of print. This book is actually out of print, but if you're fans of Rick James, you must have. I actually had to spend like about $40-something on this book. It's crazy, but if you read it, you would not put it down. That's how dope this book is. I guarantee you. Alright, and I have a few CDs I want to show you guys. I want to give a shout out to my homeboy Hoovy. Hoovy basically hooked me up with 3 CDs, which is gonna be the first 3. The first 3 are all from Hoovy and shit. So yeah. First album is Special Ed. Debut album Youngest in Charge, released in 1989 on Profile Records. Very dope album. This album is a classic album by many people. For those who know who Special Ed is, he is an MC from Brooklyn, Flatbush, Brooklyn to be exact. You know, he got his start by in '88 and shit like that. He had dropped this album when he was 16 years old. I repeat, 16 years old. But if you listen to this nigga rap, his mind was on some other shit, you know what I'm saying? So singles album is known for were I Got It Made, which that's a hip hop classic right there. A fucking hip hop classic if you ask me. If you play that beat, that dun dun, I got it made, dun dun, like everyone knows that song. Think About It and I'm the Magnificent, that's another dope song. Yeah, man, this whole album, and he has no guest appearances on this album too. You 16 years old have no guest appearances and shit. You know what I'm saying? Very dope album. Very, very good album and shit. You know, Special Ed, he is an MC. I never really hear people give him his props though, because a lot of people want to talk about LL Cool J as talking about teenage rappers who are teenage and shit like that, but lyrically, man, Special Ed was on some other shit, you know. Yeah. Traffic actually re-released this album in 2009. And it's also been re-released by Get On Down Records in 2015. So if you guys can find those issues, must have in your collection. Because I think this is actually the OG copy. So yeah. Special Ed, Youngest in Charge, 1989. Then we have you guys are gonna hate me for this, but this album right here is an album that I've been actually getting into these guys for a couple of years now. Yeah, this is LL Scratch's debut album, Creep With Me, released in 1994 on, I believe on Profile Records, Mercury Records, excuse me. Yeah, singles albums known for are Where My Homies Come Around My Way. That's my shit right there. I'll Take Her featuring Brian McKnight, and Chill With That. I'll Take Her with featuring Brian. That was such a big song. That song was so big that not only did they have like another version of the song with just Brian McKnight's vocals, but many people kind of see that as like Brian McKnight's breakthrough and shit like that. That's like his breakthrough, because let's be real, that he made that song. As much as I love LL Scratch, he made that song, and then he had signed to Motown years later, and the rest is history. But yeah, for those who don't know who LL Scratch is, they were a hip hop group from Brooklyn. Well, Big L is from Brooklyn, and Al Scratch is from Uptown Harlem and shit. Yeah, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Oh wait, no, that's not it. Yeah, they formed in '93, and in 1994 they had released this album. Very, very dope album, man. Like LG. For those who don't know who LG is, he is Easy Mo Bee's little brother. He was Easy Mo Bee's little brother. So the album definitely has that. You can tell he was influenced by Easy Mo Bee, because if you hear a lot of Easy Mo Bee shit from, I would say, 93 to 95, like the hard drums, like the mid-tempo kind of shit, you know, like this adds like a much rugged sound than that. Very dope album. It definitely has that summertime feel to it, and just a smooth slow production from them and shit. Like Get Dough, they got Love for Us. This is for my homies. Summertime. Like, oh my god, like this whole album is so ill as fuck. And unfortunately, this album is actually out of print. This album and the next album, Keep It Moving. I have actually not heard Keep It Moving. I need to hear that album, but I heard a couple of joints, but they kind of went a little bit more darker in terms of production. But Ill Out Scratch, Creep With Me, 1994, must have. Then we have, this comes from one of my favorite MCs of all time. It's Master Ace with Disposable Hearts, released in 2001 on what's the label? JCOR Records. Yeah, this came out 6 years after Sitting on Chrome with the Master Inc. Incorporated. A lot of things happened to Master Ace between that album and this album. Well, for one, let me get to the singles this album was known for were, it only came out with really one single called Don't Understand. A lot of things has happened to Master Ace around this time because Master Ace Incorporated, Sitting on Chrome, that was such a good album. It did well, but they were having some issues, so that was the last album they came out with, and they were having a lot of issues, money issues and shit. So they had broken up, and also around that time, this came out actually years ago from an interview on Hip Hop DX. He had actually got Graves' disease and shit, basically, and so that's why he had a hiatus. He basically had a hiatus from the hip hop game for like a 6-year hiatus. He came out with a few underground singles here and there, but it was like one off and shit like that. So he was trying to take that under control. So back in 2001, he had came out with this album. Yeah, very dope album. This album definitely has that contemporary. It's a grown up hip hop album. Like, one thing I can say about Master Ace, when it comes to conceptual albums, he is so out there and shit, And with this album, it talks about a guy from Brooklyn. He got released from prison and shit like that, and basically it shows his life through his returning home and shit like that. So, and the album cover basically is a play on Sitting on Chrome, because if you look closely, has the fucking sitting on like that slight leather seat basically on the street, basically, Oh, and the song Acknowledge, it was a diss track against rapper Boogeyman and the High and Mighty and shit like that, which I'll talk more about that when I review this album in the future. So yeah, Master Ace, Disposable Hearts, released in 2001. This album kind of goes for like a lot of money these days. They re-released this album back in 2013, but I believe it went back out of print. Last album. This is an album I've been mentioning for weeks. I'm actually going to do a review on this album this Sunday. It's Big Daddy Kane's last studio album, Veterans Day, released in 1998. This is his last studio album to date and shit, because I believe he has done work with this jazz band. I don't know if they put out an album. I doubt they put out an album. I heard they put out. I heard they didn't, but yeah. Big Daddy Kane with Veterans Day. Singles albums known for were Uncut. I think Uncut Pure was the only official single and shit. It was like the only official single, but Hold It Down, but I think that was more of an underground single. Okay. I don't want to say too much since I'm already doing a review on this album, but to put it bluntly, this album was okay. This album is okay. It's not good, but it's better than Taste of Chocolate. And the reason why I'm kind of a little lenient on this album, I'm going to talk more about that when I do damn it, okay. I'm going to talk more about that when I do a review on this, but this is Big Daddy Kane, Veterans Day, released in 1998. This album was out of print. This was released on label under Blackheart, under Mercury. So, damn, okay. Well, that's all the time I have for this album. And in case you guys have not seen, check out this dope Rick James shirt of the Fire It Up album. Yeah. Alright, stay tuned for more stuff. And tomorrow, Chabera and I, we're going to do a review on, well, actually later on today, excuse me, we're going to do a review on Tony's House of Music album. And this upcoming Saturday, even though that date might potentially change, I'm hoping not, I'm going to do a review on the Beastie Boys' second album, Paul's Boutique. So stay tuned on that. Peace.